Revealed. The incredible truth behind my two beach houses, one sold, one unexpectedly hidden. Mia's fingers trembled as she scrolled through the message again, each word drumming in her head. Her father's death was shocking enough, but the sudden burden of two beach houses twisted like a knife in her gut. One dilapidated and crumbling, the other a secret only whispered in shadow. She glanced at her children, engrossed in their digital worlds, little aware of the storm brewing just beyond the surf that painted their quaint coastal town. How would she manage this? Could she sell the first house before everything fell apart around her? The anxiety pooled in her stomach. What if she failed? She was already stretched thin juggling her job as a local schoolteacher. Yesterday's lesson on geometry felt like an anchor, pulling her backward instead of propelling her forward. Her students deserved better than a distracted teacher, an overworked mother to them. She was a constant, steady as the tide. But inside, she felt as turbulent as the ocean secrets that surrounded her. As she pulled to the weathered house that carried her father's burdens, she remembered his sketches, filled with tantalizing potential. The structural designs were meant to showcase innovation, creativity, a far cry from the reality of the peeling paint and sagging foundation that now confronted her. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mia's heart raced. With every passing moment, the weight of the dilapidated house felt heavier, its memories mocking her hopes. The potential sale would solve immediate woes: tuition, groceries, bills. But what about the hidden house? What lay within those walls? The thought churned in her mind. Her father's past failures, their family's frayed ties. Could it possibly hold answers? Or would it just deepen the scars? Just as she pushed open the creaking door, a rush of air enveloped her like a ghostly embrace. Dust motes danced around her in the sparse light filtering through the windows, a haunting reminder of everything that had been lost. Her stomach knotted. Confronting the past was never easy, but avoiding it could cost her everything. An abrasive sound pulled her from her thoughts, a knock at the door. Her heart quickened when she opened it, revealing Ben, her father's old friend. "Mia," he said, his eyes gleaming with something she couldn't decipher: concern or perhaps hope. "I heard about your inheritance. We need to talk." The urgency in his tone pierced through her fears, igniting a flicker of determination even as doubt clawed at her. Was she ready to rewrite the narrative of her family legacy? The memory of her father's dreams clawed at her spirit, his unfinished designs whispering in the recesses of her mind. Leaving it to rot is not an option, she finally muttered, defiance blooming within her. But even as resolve hardened, an unsettling feeling churned deep in her chest. The developer's name echoed through her thoughts, a menacing reminder of the livelihood she was trying to protect. She stood, rooted in uncertainty as the ocean surged nearby. Only then did she truly feel it. The pull of her father's ambition, the fight for their family's honor growing ever louder within her. As she contemplated their heavy implications, Mia felt the first flicker of a dawning idea escape her lips. This could be a new beginning, but in the throes of rising tension, she realized that the fight was never just for the house. No, it was a battle for her family's integrity and her own awakening. As she faced the weathered structure, determination rippled through her, but uncertainty lingered like an ominous wave ready to crash. Would she be able to uncover the secrets buried within and honor her father's legacy? Or would everything she fought for slip through her fingers, like the very sand that surrounded her? As Ben stepped over the threshold, the dim light accentuated the lines of worry etched on his face, mirroring the tumult brewing within Mia. She couldn't ignore the urgency in his voice, and the weight of his presence only amplified her resolve. "What do you know?" she demanded, a tremor of anxiety lacing her words. Ben took a deep breath, glancing around as if the suffocating silence of the house concealed secrets only he could unveil. "Your father had plans for both places," he began, his voice gravelly. "He believed in potential, Mia. I know this might sound sudden, But the hidden house isn't just a family property. It could be a pivotal investment. But it's essential to understand what that means. Investment? The term rang like a foreign bell in her ears. Would resurrecting her father's dreams make her a businesswoman overnight? Could she measure up to his legacy? Yet, there was something about the thrill of potential that stirred a fervor within her. You mean to say it's worth something? She asked, the doubt creeping back into her voice. His nod felt like an anchor. If you're willing to take the risk, yes. He had been working with small businesses, aiming to transform the community something unique, something more than just houses. Mia felt her pulse quicken, hope sparking amid her confusion. But every flicker of aspiration was tempered by tension. But how? I have my job, the children, these houses are falling apart, and I barely have time to breathe. Sometimes those desperate starts lead to the biggest opportunities, Ben replied, his eyes sharpening with conviction. You can't know what you're capable of until you try. You could bring your father's vision to life. Not just for you, but for your kids. Show them the strength of legacy, real, tangible results. He was right, she realized. The narrative was shifting from obligation to potential, but the fear of failure clung to her. Could she create something from nothing? How had her father navigated these waters alone? Did he too grapple with such doubts? I don't even know what's in that house, she confessed, her previous bravado dwindling. What if I expose more darkness? I'm not ready to face those ghosts. Ben stepped closer, comforting without being patronizing. You won't know until you look. You possess skills you don't recognize. Mia, your resourcefulness as a teacher, your tenacity as a mother. They are assets in this battle. It's not just about following a family legacy, it's about forging your own path. With every word, solid ground beneath her crumbled slightly as she embraced the possibilities swirling in her thoughts. Yet the anxiety of the process threatened to consume her. The daunting task of excavating her father's dreams intertwined with her own identity felt monumental. What lay underneath those roofs would determine everything. She was not just confronting physical buildings, but the heaviness of expectation rooted in family history. What if she unearthed success? What if it all crumbled? Then it hit her, a revelation, the spark of inspiration to light the dim room. What if she documented this journey? The highs and lows, the struggles against the tides that seemed insurmountable. Would she emerge not just revived but renewed? Mia's mind raced with the potential of channeling her unexpected role as both builder and storyteller. Okay, she said finally, her voice steadier than before. Let us see what this hidden house holds. But I want to do it alone. Ben smiled, a glimmer of approval in his gaze. Smart move. You'll need allies. As Mia stepped back into the thickening glow of the evening sun, the path ahead shimmered like the waves lapping at the shore. She felt the pull of possibility resonate within, battling the doubts of her past and the weight of the future to come. But a chilling realization surged with it. What if the renovation of the house wasn't the only thing in need of repair? Mia paused, staring down the dusky road leading to her father's other legacy, feeling a growing urgency. Could she really reshape the narrative and discover her own hidden potential? The answer was just on the horizon, but even that felt as wavy and uncertain as the sea itself. As she stood at the threshold of adventure, a reluctance enveloping her heart like a shroud, a sudden breeze drifted through the doorway, sending a shiver down her spine. A nagging thought nagged for release. What if the hidden house came with repercussions she was meeting head-on, and soon her decisions turned perilous? The tide of transformation was rising, but what secrets awaited her could just as easily drown her endeavors. Mia stood at the edge of the sidewalk, watching as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that twisted and bent like her own uncertainty. Her mind churned with thoughts of the hidden house, an unusual burden now resting on her shoulders. How could she possibly transform a neglected property into anything meaningful while balancing her job and the needs of her children? The echo of Ben's words reverberated. Sometimes those desperate starts lead to the biggest opportunities. It struck her that perhaps this venture wasn't just a gamble. It held the potential for a new identity, one that could blend her past and present. She found herself grappling with a thought that wove itself through her reluctance. What if success was possible? A rush of energy coursed through her, igniting her desire to embrace her father's hidden dreams. Yet, lurking beneath that excitement was a nagging fear. Could she truly bring the house back to life, or would she merely uncover old wounds? Determined, she thought about her father's connection to the community. What did that legacy mean to her? What kind of impact did she want to leave? Would her children even recognize the woman she was becoming? Mia reached into her pocket and fished out her phone, tapping the screen as ideas began to flow. Later that evening, seated on her bed surrounded by old photographs and discarded plans, Mia dedicated herself to unraveling the story behind her family's past. Each snapshot of a crumbling structure seemed to unveil a piece of her father's vision, a testament to the potential for renewal. She drafted a list of all needed repairs and transformations, connecting them to her own ambitions, hoping that this structured approach would alleviate the unease pooling in her stomach. At the center of her planning was the notion of documentation, a task that felt both monumental and clarifying. Mia envisioned sharing the journey with her children through a blog, crafting a narrative filled with trials, triumphs, and perhaps unexpected revelations. This thought soothed the tempest within her. She could own this experience, turning her father's legacy into her own story, one threaded with hers. Eager to lean on her resourcefulness, Mia reached out to friends, former colleagues, and even fellow parents from her children's school. Each connection brought fresh ideas and insights into the renovation. The reality of assembling a support system invigorated her. They would help tackle different projects, cleaning out debris, finishing rough spots, meeting with contractors, and building a new vision from the remains of the past. However, with each step toward collaboration came moments of self-doubt. Would they respect her vision? What if her ideas were out of their league? Those feelings nagged at her, but in the intervals of self-critique, she reminded herself, growth often surfaces between the cracks of failure. With help, she might just forge a path where none had previously existed. The next evening, Mia stood once more at the threshold of the hidden house. Armed with her notes, sketches, and newfound courage from the support of her community, she pushed the door slightly ajar. Dust motes danced in the shafts of light spilling through gaps in the walls. Within, she felt the whispers of her father echo, urging her to delve deeper into this challenge. Yet uncertainty loomed as thick as the dust. What ominous secrets did this house guard? Each creak of the floorboards resonated with a blend of anxiety and anticipation. She took a breath, the weight of her purpose pressing against her chest, feeling the edges of her identity begin to reshape. Just then, a creaking from the attic drew her gaze upward. Something invisible tugged at her curiosity. It felt like a haunting invitation. What hidden memories or burdens awaited discovery? With each step towards the staircase, a pulse of dread mingled with determination surged in her chest. This decision had irrevocably altered her path. She was stepping into her past, poised to confront whatever secrets lay hidden in the rafters above. The moment she reached the attic door, a thunderous crash echoed from within, blocking her path and resurrecting her fears. As she hesitated, the line between bravery and doubt blurred, the choice solidifying there was no turning back. Would she find answers amidst the chaos of the past, or would the revelation lead to an unexpected reckoning? Mia steadied her breath, pushing against the trepidation squeezing her chest. The echoing crash from within signaled a disturbance. Was it a reflection of her own upheaval? She clenched her fists, determined to meet whatever awaited her. With a decisive turn of the knob, she opened the attic door, and a gust of stale air whipped around her, carrying the faint scent of decay and memories long buried. Inside, the chaos was overwhelming. The floor was littered with shattered remnants of furniture, cobweb-laden boxes, and loose floorboards that creaked with every step. A fragile light bulb flickered above, casting erratic shadows that danced ominously around her. As she stepped into the attic, she felt the weight of her father's world pressing down on her, both unveiling and shrouding its secrets. Her heart raced as she scanned the disarray, searching for meaning in the clutter. She stumbled upon an old, stained trunk, its leather cracked and frayed. Intrigued, she knelt beside it, her fingers running over the intricate patterns embossed on its surface. This trunk felt different. Could it contain remnants of her father's dreams? What handwritten notes, photographs, or journals might disclose truths of his life? With a tug, the latch gave way. Inside lay a trove of artifacts. Yellowed letters, a stack of fading photographs, and a few tattered blueprints of structures that hinted at forgotten ambitions. Mia's heart quickened. This was at the beginning of understanding. Each piece felt like a step deeper into her father's psyche, and a mapping of the terrain she was now poised to navigate. Hours slipped by as she sifted through the contents, piecing together fragments of her father's past, his aspirations entwined with her own. She read letters addressed to her mother, filled with affection and dreams for their family. In those words, she felt a connection to love, to hope, and to a time when everything felt possible. But alongside the warmth of nostalgia, a heavy weight settled in her stomach. Why had these dreams been abandoned? What had shattered the vision they once inspired? The photographs revealed more than half-formed structures. They told the story of a man grappling with his ambitions, and the fears that laid them to waste. A chilling thought passed through her. If the foundations of her father's dreams had crumbled, what of her own aspirations? Mia shifted her focus to the blueprints, the lines conveying his architectural dreams. As she traced the sketches with her fingertips, ideas sparked within her the need for restoration, not just of the house, but of the legacy that had been left untouched. Suddenly her phone buzzed, breaking her reverie. A message from Ben flashed across the screen. "Remember, Mia, you can only fail if you don't try." His words reverberated in her mind like a lifeline. Could she mold the fragments of her father's ambitions into something tangible? The thought stirred a fire in her belly. As she emerged from the attic, renewed determination surged within her. This wasn't just about restoring a house. This was about reclaiming her father's spirit and crafting her story in his shadow. Each nail she hammered, every wall she painted would become a testimony to both her resilience and her love for the past. Yet the echoes of self-doubt loomed as she envisioned the daunting task ahead. Would her efforts be respected, or would she merely amplify the whispers of failure? The resolve to confront these fears crystallized in her mind. She would document her journey not just for herself, but for her children, for them to witness their mother transform the unnoticed legacies into empowerments. As she made her way down the staircase, footfalls steady, she realized a new tension permeated her existence. The anticipation of not only what she might uncover about her father, but also what deep-seated truths she might discover about herself. The doubts that lingered were far from extinguished, they were challenged. Once outside, she took a deep breath, grounding herself in the present, focused, passionate, ready. The house stood before her, a blank canvas eager for her brush. Inspiration flooded her, propelling her into action. And just as she began sketching out her plans anew, addressing the ideas gleaned from the past, mapping her future, a chilling wind swept through, carrying with it a whisper that hinted at lingering secrets yet to be uncovered. What would be the next chapter of her journey? The reflection of her father's hidden truths intertwined with her evolving identity. What could emerge in this tumultuous space where fears and dreams collided? Mia stood in the fading light, a swirl of apprehension and excitement churning within her. The blueprints and letters lay scattered around her, as though waiting for her commands. With each tool she picked up, she felt the weight of generations straining against her palms. They begged for acknowledgement, for revival, and most importantly, for her action. But where to begin? She had immersed herself in others' stories, yet her own continued to linger in the shadows. Taking a moment to focus, Mia turned her gaze back to the blueprints. Each stroke of the pencil represented a dream once fervently held. Leaning closer to an almost forgotten truth about her father. Would she be able to resurrect his abandoned aspirations into a new reality? The fear of failing loomed overhead, hanging like the remnants of dusty cobwebs she had brushed aside. To fail meant to dissolve the legacy further. Success, she mused, meant breaking that cycle of demise. She began to sketch her vision, influenced by her father's lines and curves. The act of drawing felt cathartic yet vulnerable. It required her to confront both her father's broken dreams and her own uncertainties. Why was she so afraid to let her own aspirations unfurl? The thought pushed at the boundaries of her psyche, forcing her to question her past decisions. Life had weathered her with doubts, and the scars left behind were not easily forgotten. Determined to shift the narrative, she crafted a list of all the changes she desired to make, not just to the house but to herself. This renovation was as much a personal journey as it was a physical task. The blueprint sketches would serve their purpose, but so would her own identity, interwoven seamlessly with her father's legacy. The next morning, as the sun rose, painting the sky with soft shades of pink and orange, Mia grabbed her toolbox. She felt exhilaration mingled with trepidation, an odd but familiar presence in her life lately. Each board she unlatched, each nail she hammered into the crumbling structure, became a reaffirmation of her dreams. Here was a woman confronting her fears head-on, learning with each heartbeat that perhaps the scattered fragments didn't dictate her future, but rather served as stepping stones. However, with every achievement came a shout of self-doubt that threatened to eclipse her progress. Often, Mia found herself standing still, heart racing, as anxiety whispered insidious questions. Was she skilled enough? Did she have what it truly took to revive this legacy? Perhaps she would abandon the project just as her father had. But with each moment of hesitation, she remembered the blueprints, the lines her father had drawn. They called to her, reminding her that persistence was key, and through that determination, she would find herself. As days turned into weeks, the house began to transform. Mia's vision started to align with the structure, bringing forth an essence that had long been dormant. The whispers of decay were replaced by the sounds of hammers and laughter, her children occasionally joining in, curious eyes wide with hope and excitement. Yet, amid her bustling progress, Mia felt an unsettling presence, the elusive truth hidden beneath layers of once mothballed pain. A series of overturned boxes led her to an unexpected discovery. A small compartment within the attic wall, hidden behind a false panel, keeping its secrets safe from time. Her breath hitched. What lay inside? Was it another piece of her father's life? Perhaps something that would finally unlock the door to understanding his choices? Her heart raced, both with anticipation and fear. There had to be something significant enough to warrant being concealed. A panic surged within her. Did she really want to expose yet another secret? The potential for revelation lay right in front of her, ready to blossom into knowledge both beautiful and troubling. She hesitated. Was she prepared to confront the truths that might redefine not just her journey, but her very identity? With a deep breath, she wielded her crowbar once more, the metallic sound echoing through the stillness. The truth awaited her on the other side, and with it the promise of clarity or chaos. Either way, she was poised to uncover what had long remained buried. As Mia pried open the false panel, the rush of adrenaline mixed with apprehension sent her heart pounding in her chest. Dust filtered through the air, dancing in the waning light as she gazed into the hidden compartment. It was dark, its secrets locked away, but the outline of a box drew her attention. With trembling hands, she reached inside, the texture of the worn wood sending chills across her fingertips. The moment she lifted the box into the fading daylight, a sense of foreboding enveloped her. Was this just a relic of her father's past, or was it a reflection of her own future? The lid creaked as she opened it, revealing a jumble of photographs, letters, and an old ledger filled with her father's meticulous handwriting. The photographs portrayed moments she had never witnessed, her father smiling alongside unfamiliar faces, laughter evident even in frozen frames. Each smile held layers of stories she longed to understand. One photo, cracked at the edges, captured a younger version of him, arms around a group of people she could not identify. A wave of anxiety crashed over her. Were these friends, family, or once-in-a-lifetime encounters that he had chosen to forget, or perhaps had to forget? Turning her attention to the stack of letters bound with a faded ribbon, she untied them, her heart heavy with anticipation. The elegant script flowed like poetry, yet the words felt like a riptide pulling her deeper into a sea of emotions. They were addresses, plans, dreams dashed, and fears laid bare on pages inked with vulnerability. Reading through them, she realized many of these dreams mirrored her own. Aspirations she had yet to articulate, struggles echoing in her own life. Mia's breath caught as she reached the ledger. Encased within its pages lay her father's ambitions for the beach houses, meticulously documented plans of renovation, investments, and connections made within a world she had only glimpsed through occasional family anecdotes. How had she never known about this side of him? Better yet, how had he managed to hide such aspirations? Despite the revelations, shadows of doubt still lurked. Was this her father's way of preparing her for something he hadn't achieved? Or worse, was he trying to steer her away from the fragility of his own dreams? Would these new discoveries change the house's purpose from a project of revival to a vault of regret? Questions swirled, and with each answer she uncovered, uncertainty bubbled to the surface. Mia couldn't help but think about her own retreat from ambitious dreams. Would she allow herself to delve deep into her father's legacy? Or would she continue to tread carefully, fearing the weight of lost aspirations? As she sifted through the emotional turmoil stirred by these artifacts, she felt her resolve falter, the haunting pull of indecision threatening the progress she had fought so hard to make. Closing the box, she felt a sudden urge to protect its contents, to shield them from the outside world. Yet the very act of sealing it felt like surrender. The momentum she had cultivated in restoring the house now stood at a precipice, and she needed to decide. Would she act on these newfound insights and allow her father's legacy to empower her? Or would she retreat back into the shadows? The daylight dwindled, and with it, her confidence waned. One question echoed louder than the others. How could she glean the courage to breathe life into these reconnections, yet manage the potential heartbreak that accompanied them? The complexity of her father's dreams threatened to interlace with her own, and the stakes were rising. With a glance back at the attic, Mia felt an ambiguous blend of clarity and confusion. A single thought lingered: what if her journey to uncover these truths would reveal her own hidden paths, leading her deeper into both the pain and power of her heritage? The moment had come to challenge the doubts that haunted her. She leaned over the box once more, ready to make a choice. But as her fingers brushed the edges of the letters and pictures, a new chill ran down her spine. What awaited her on the other side of this emotional journey might be more profound than she could ever have anticipated. The deeper question remained. Was she truly ready for the confrontations that lay ahead? Mia sat in the dim light of the attic, the box resting heavily on her lap. The photographs and letters felt like a connection to a time that was both distant and intimately close. She could feel the weight of her father's dreams pressing against her, urging her to act. Yet, with the mounting pressure came a voice of trepidation that whispered constantly, questioning her ability to face the truths within. Resolutely, Mia began to flip through the letters again, words swirling like remnants of stormy seas. Each phrase conveyed a moment of vulnerability, a window into her father's desires and disappointments. It struck her that he hadn't just outlined projects. He had poured hopes into these pages, investing pieces of himself. They weren't simply words, they were lifelines of ambition that had long been floating in obscurity. In that moment, the realization dawned on her. The dream of restoring the beach houses wasn't merely a task to complete. It represented a risk, not just for her father, but also for herself. It was a double-edged sword, full of promise and peril. Wasn't that what she had been tiptoeing around all along? The pursuit of her own aspirations may very well mirror the path her father had set before her. Dense with passion but fraught with the fear of failure. Determined to channel her surge of understanding, Mia decided to turn her exploration into action. She grabbed the ledger, running her fingers over the meticulous entries. Names of contractors, notes about permits, even sketches of renovation ideas peered back at her. She felt a rush of inspiration as she began to mentally map out the tasks ahead. There was no more room for uncertainty. It was time to reclaim her father's dreams as her own. Yet uncertainty brewed behind her newfound determination. How could she ensure she wouldn't stumble into the same traps her father had? A feeling of dread crept in with each new plan she envisioned. What if the beach houses ended up as monuments of regret rather than restorations of hope? Mia stood up, an overwhelming need to take action surging through her. She made her way to the small cluttered desk by the window, determined to create a plan. Each step toward the desk felt like a declaration, a promise that she would not cower in the face of her lineage. As she set the ledger down, she glanced outside. The light of the setting sun began casting long shadows across the lawn, a visual reminder that change was both beautiful and daunting. With a notepad, she began jotting down her thoughts, her mind racing through the projects that lay ahead. Demolition, design, and construction floated into view, along with dates to work on each task. Suddenly, her stomach twisted with an uneasy thought. What if her mother, unaware of this exploration, opposed her ambitions? Would understanding her father's dreams bring new conflicts into the family dynamic? As she scribbled, determination mingled with anxiety washed over her. The value of the journey lay not just in restoring the house, but in forging a connection with her father, understanding the man he was beneath the brush of time and loss. The impending confrontation with her mother lingered ominously. Was she prepared for what it would mean to venture into this territory, sharing the legacy she barely understood? Mia's heart raced, each beat echoing in the confines of her chest as she contemplated her next steps. The choice to move forward came with a cost, one she was now willing to pay. With resolve, she wrote one final note at the bottom of her list. Have the conversation with Mom. Just outside the window, the last rays of sunlight flickered out, leaving the house draped in twilight. Rising from her seat, she took a deep breath. The decision had been made. Now she needed to confront her mother. Would the revelation of her father's dreams ignite a flame of understanding, or spark a confrontation that altered everything? The gravity of the moment hung in the air, chilling but invigorating. As Mia prepared for the challenging dialogue that lay ahead, she was on the brink of uncovering the truth, a truth that promised to reshape her understanding of family and aspiration forever. Mia paced the floor of the attic, the shadows draping her like a heavy cloak as thoughts swirled like the dust motes dancing in the fading light. The weight of the conversations to come pressed down on her heavily, and her mind raced through the myriad of possibilities. What if her mother didn't embrace her ambition? What if she branded Mia's determination as reckless, a betrayal to a memory that had shaped their lives? She pressed her palms against the cool wood of the desk, feeling the sturdy surface ground her in reality, a stark contrast to the turmoil of her emotions. This wasn't just about the houses. It was about reclaiming a legacy that had been both a treasure and a burden. With her father's dreams echoing in her thoughts, Mia realized she was poised at the edge of a larger revelation, the potential for personal growth that extended far beyond her family's past. Taking a deep breath, she began writing down potential points for the conversation with her mother. Not just what she wanted to say, but also how to convey the hope wrapped within it. Mom needs to know this is about more than nostalgia. It's about honoring what Dad wanted while also finding out what I want, she whispered to herself, as if needing to hear the gentle encouragement aloud. Mia could visualize the beach houses again, worn yet filled with possibility. Each one whispered stories of memories and aspirations, but they could also symbolize the beginning of a new chapter for her. The thought sent a flicker of excitement through her. She could take this risk and reshape it into something meaningful. With her heart picking up pace, she flipped through the letters once more, this time reading with renewed clarity. The words were still laced with her father's longing, but she began to see a parallel path forming before her. Her father had felt the despair of unrealized dreams, but he had also fought against it. He had poured growth into those pages, pouring out life's complexities with every carefully curated word. Mia put the letters down and picked up her phone, reluctantly scrolling to her mother's contact. The desire to postpone the conversation cut through her like a knife. Yet, she knew that within discomfort lay the potential for transformation. She drew in a breath, deliberating on her next move, trying to tamper with her growing impatience. Suddenly, the attic seemed to fade around her as her thoughts drifted inward. What if her mother's protective instincts clouded the truth? Would love breed fear, stifling Mia's potential progress? The reflection was sobering. It prompted her to question her motivations, and how much of her father's legacy was intertwined with her justification to act. Time to push through, she said aloud, as defiance pushed aside doubt. She tapped out a message, a simple, direct invitation for her mother to join her at the beach houses this weekend. No lengthy explanations or preambles, just an open door for discussion. She hit send, the act feeling momentous, like a step onto a tightrope stretched high above uncertainty. In the ensuing silence, every sound felt amplified: the rustle of wind against the old attic window, her own heartbeat steadily drumming, the distant murmur of the waves beyond, reminding her of choices past and those yet to come. With each passing moment, anxiety mixed with an exhilarating realization. She was ready for change, ready to confront both her mother and her own fears. Just as she was about to leave the attic, her phone chimed, startling her. It was her mother's reply, terse yet dripping with emotion. What's this about, Mia? The question lingered in the air like a weight on her conscience, a reminder that she was entering complex territory. Mia's breath caught in her throat as she grasped the implications of that single message. What had she just unleashed? Would they stand united in facing their shared past, or further divide over the memories of a man they both loved? The conversations ahead would not simply unveil the truth about the beach houses, but would also prove to be a crucible for their relationship, pushing Mia toward a deeper understanding of her identity. As she descended the attic stairs, her resolve hardening, she realized that the exploration was just beginning and the next step would demand courage like never before. Mia's heart raced as she walked down the stairs, anticipation mixing with trepidation. Each step reverberated in her mind like a countdown, amplifying the tension building inside her. She had taken the leap to send that message, yet the reality of what lay ahead loomed like an unscalable wall, shrouded in uncertainty. Once in the kitchen, she poured herself a glass of water, the cool liquid acting as a momentary reprieve. Despite the familiar surroundings, anxiety nipped at her heels. She remembered her mother's worried expressions, and the way her gaze had dimmed whenever Mia's dreams had ventured beyond safety. Would this discussion peel back layers, or would it solidify walls between them? The sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the space with a deceptive sense of warmth, and Mia recalled the countless days spent by the beach houses as a child. The laughter, the carefree abandon, all now tinged with the bittersweet taste of nostalgia. It had been a sanctuary, but to whom? As she took a sip, a single thought crystallized. Reclaiming that sense of sanctuary would require her to tear down the biases and fears that had festered in her mother's heart. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, breaking her reverie. It was a new message from her mother. "Can we talk in person? Not sure I can process this over text." Mia felt an unexpected spark of determination. It wasn't just about negotiating the future of the beach houses. This was about making her mother realize her own fears were no longer manageable anchors in her life. The clock ticked steadily, the rhythm echoing within her. With that realization, she grabbed a pen and paper, determining to outline her thoughts for their meeting. It was more than just an agenda. It was a map of her aspirations and fears intertwined. She wrote about her childhood memories connected to the beach, but also how those memories had evolved into aspirations, her desire to shape her legacy, not merely inherit one. She even began to articulate the feelings of guilt that arose from wanting something different than what her mother had envisioned. Would her mother ever understand that to honor him, she too had to find her own path? Mia began pacing again, her footsteps quickening with her thoughts. The attic was a sanctuary of ideas, a physical embodiment of her struggle. This was the birthplace of dreams and fears intertwining. She envisioned their conversation. Her mother, arms crossed defensively, and her own face earnest with conviction. Before she could talk herself out of it, Mia grabbed her keys and headed to the beach houses. The ride, normally filled with thoughts of the past, transformed into a reservoir of anticipation. This time, it wasn't merely about revisiting memories. It was about reclaiming their side of the story, rewriting a narrative that had been overshadowed by the past. Arriving at the first house, she stood before the weathered door, so familiar yet now daunting. She pushed it open, the creaking hinges summarizing her emotional state, filled with both trepidation and resolve. The smell of salt air intertwined with memories came rushing forth. Yet she steeled herself, focusing on the future rather than the past. As she explored each room, she found her thoughts swirling into a clear perspective. She would not shy away, nor allow her fear of her mother's reaction to dictate her actions. This wasn't merely about taking possession. It was about reclaiming her right to make decisions for her future. When she returned home and sat in the living room, ready to meet her mother with purpose, she felt a surge of adrenaline. Mia silently chastised herself for the moments spent doubting. Today was not about turning back, but charging forward into the unknown. The unstoppable realization echoed in her mind. The time had come to face her mother and the truth about not just the beach houses, but their intertwined dreams. Yet, as she readied herself for that critical conversation, a new and unsettling thought seeped into her consciousness. Would this conversation lead to liberation, or Would it engulf them both in a storm of unresolved feelings? In that instant, Mia understood there was more at stake than mere property. It was identity, family loyalty, and the reconstruction of a relationship that had been at the mercy of the past her father had left behind. As the hour drew near, Mia steeled herself for a daunting reality that awaited her on the other side of that door. The moment of truth fast approaching. Mia's heart hammered in her chest, anticipation and dread swirling into a palpable weight. As she paced her living room, she could feel the echoes of her father's legacy whispering through the walls, urging her toward a conversation that could shift everything: her future, her identity, and her family's narrative. The time was now. When the doorbell rang, she jolted slightly, taking a deep breath to quell her nerves. She opened the door to find her mother standing there, her expression a blend of concern and curiosity that spoke volumes without uttering a single word. "Hi, Mom. Thanks for coming," Mia said, her voice steady despite the whirlwind inside her. "Of course, Mia. Is everything all right?" her mother asked, stepping inside and glancing around, albeit with a wary eye. "Yes, and no," Mia replied, her words tilting toward honesty as she closed the door behind them. "I wanted to talk about the beach houses and Dad." At the mention of her father, Mia saw a flicker of emotion pass over her mother's face. The air thickened with memories, some sweet, others bitter. They headed toward the living room, and Mia gestured for her mother to sit, planning the message she had rehearsed endlessly in her mind. "I know it's been hard since Dad passed," Mia began, her heart racing as she saw her mother nod slowly, "but I discovered some things about the beach houses, his dreams and plans, and I think they could mean something to both of us." Her mother's brow furrowed. "What do you mean, Mia? You know how your father was. He always had grand ideas, but we were left with unfinished plans and debts." Mia felt an ache in her chest. "I know, Mom, but there's potential. I found blueprints and letters. His vision could be revitalized, and it could bring us closer. We can't keep bringing up the past and expecting it to solve our problems," her mother insisted, a trace of defensiveness creeping into her tone. "It's just too painful." Mia felt the familiar pangs of doubt rise within her, yet she pressed on. "But it's hurt that could turn into something beautiful. I want to honor his dreams, and I want to do it with you." Her mother's expression softened, and for the first time, Mia saw a glimmer of hope. "Do you really believe that?" "Yes," Mia nodded, her confidence bolstered by the sincerity of her belief. "I want to transform this past into a new future, not just for us but for my children. To show them who their grandfather was and what he envisioned." The conversation raced through a series of unearthed emotions: old dreams, fears tethered to memories, and the possibility of reconciliation. As they spoke, Mia recounting her aspirations, her mother's initial reticence slowly transformed into consideration. By the time Mia described her vision for the first beach house, the spark of possibility ignited in her mother's eyes. "What if we made this a project together?" her mother asked tentatively, the question hanging in the air with uncertainty and anticipation. "What if it could lead us to healing instead of grief?" Mia felt a rush of warmth flood through her. "That's exactly it. We could restore Dad's vision, one that we could share with future generations." They spent hours exploring the potential of what lay behind the walls of those houses, what could be resurrected from the past. Mia's heart ached from the weight of the conversation, yet her spirit soared. She could see her mother's walls begin to crack, fear shifting into curiosity as they plotted and planned the sculpture of their future. As they plotted, Mia felt a definitive shift within herself. No longer merely a daughter wrestling with grief, she was transforming into the architect of her own narrative. It was about more than the houses. It was about redefining the relationship with her mother, embracing her father's legacy while carving her own identity. Days turned into weeks, and the collaboration blossomed. The houses slowly revealed themselves from beneath layers of neglect, becoming a canvas for Mia and her mother to apply their newfound connection and shared hope. Together, they transformed brushes of doubt into strokes of joy, creating a bond that thickened with every nail hammered and wall painted. Validation came unexpectedly one evening as they unveiled the first completed room of the beach house to Mia's children. Their awe and delight shone brighter than the setting sun filtering through the windows, reigniting a sense of wonder and familiarity. "Is this our beach house? Can we visit it now?" her son exclaimed, jumping up and down in excitement. Yes. It's our beach house, and it symbolizes our family's story, a story of growth, adventure, and dreams, Mia replied breathlessly, glancing over at her mother, whose tears glistened in the warm light. In that moment, Mia felt the weight lift. She had achieved not only the physical reconstruction of the beach houses, but a renovation of her familial ties. Embracing her father's legacy while forging her own path, she had conquered the uncertainty, proving that vulnerability could lead to profound transformation. Their shared laughter filled the rooms, echoing through the walls, solidifying the truth. Mia had transformed her fears into triumph, demonstrating that sometimes the hardest journeys lead to the most rewarding destinations. She was no longer caught in the shadows of self-doubt, but had emerged as a fortified woman, confident and purposeful, ready to shape the narratives of future generations. As they stood in their vibrant beach house, Mia realized the tides had shifted, the past had been reconciled, and the future awaited with open arms. You need to subscribe now to witness more stories of personal overcoming, because this is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and help more people discover this incredible journey. I want to hear your reactions and theories about how Mia confronted her past. Comment below with your thoughts. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us inspire and empower each other with stories that resonate.